Hello everyone, this is Catherine, otherwise known as Kerr Avenson, and I bring to you the dried results of the February pouring challenge. So, this dried is awesome as it started off. I'm very pleased with this. You can see the metallic gold is all nice and shiny and glittery, and you can see the cells and the lacing, and I'm pleased. Now this is the second one. This has more paint on it. Because this was the painting that was on the bottom on which the paint was put, and it's thicker and it wrinkled a bit. You can see it has texture. You know, this part's smooth, but this part is all lumpy. And I will talk more about that later in this video. The third one is the failed pull that you didn't see me playing with, and I'm not very pleased with this. I think what I ended up doing was blowing it with a straw and so forth, but yeah, I'm very meh about this one. The black negative space, first one. And you will notice, again, we have this very textured look. You can see the nice lacing of the burnt umber and the gold and the metallic green. So that worked out pretty good, if you don't mind mountain ranges. And likewise this one. I'm not sure if you can see it well, but it's lovely and shiny and metallic-y. But take a look at this here and that and that. You'll see it's sort of fragmented. That bit especially, you can see. was what I was going to talk about. And there's just some cracks here. I just didn't notice that before. And there. And it's a sign of what I am going to call incompatible paints. There are two signs of incompatible paints. One is the lumpy texture. And yeah, I hadn't really noticed the cracks before, but yeah. And the other is the fragmentation. So there's three signs. Incompatible paints dry at different rates, which is why you've got the cracks, why you've got the lumps, because this part and that part dried first, and this in the middle, and maybe it's also got to do with, you know, the thickness of the layer of paint, since that was quite thin as well, so that's true too. If it's just thick but compatible, the thick texture is generally smoother. And what I call fragmentation, which, yeah, the texture you can say, yeah, it dries at different rates. The fragmentation, I don't know how to explain. I don't know enough paint chemistry. But it's the fragmentation that definitely makes me think incompatible paints, and I'll show you why. Because this is one I did a while back, and you can see there's fragmentation here and here, and through here. And this, you know, and more fragmentation here. And the thing is, if you actually like this effect, you want to know how to induce it. And if you don't like this effect, you want to know how to prevent it. So it is useful to know this either way. This pour was done with acrylic and gouache. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I hate it when this thing goes out of focus. That. Which is, you know, what, opaque watercolour, I think that's what it is. But, you know, it's called that. But obviously opaque watercolour is not acrylic. But the white paint in this pour was gouache. And I got this fragmentation happening. The texture of this is completely smooth, so I'm not getting the lumpiness. But I am getting the fragmentation. So I think they are two different phenomena that may often go hand in hand, but don't always go hand in hand. So I declare it is from paints mixing, where one paint is breaking up the pigments of the other. So you get this fragmentation, like you're getting fragmentation here. And the reason I say incompatible mediums is because the paints in this were mixed with 3 different mediums. The black, most of the paints in this were either mixed with Floetrol or Jo Sonja Flow Medium. However, the emerald green, which you can see is fragmenting, and the Van Dyke brown, which is also fragmenting, were mixed with Derivan self-leveling medium. So I would say that Derivan self-leveling medium is incompatible with either Jo Sonja Flow Medium or Floetrol, but I think Floetrol just tends to be more compatible with everything. So I think it's the Derivan self-leveling medium reacting to the Jo Sonja Flow Medium that is causing the fragmentation. They're just hostile to each other. So I'm in the process of getting rid of all my using up, not getting rid of, I'm not going to throw them out, using up my pre-mixed paints, because, save time, pre-mix them all. Well, that's the downside, is I need to use up the ones that I pre-mixed that are not mixed with Floetrol, and just mix everything with Floetrol from now on, because I have just look, I mean, these ones just beautiful, and I'm crediting the Floetrol with these cells and stuff, because it's my previous pours have not been half so nice, so easily. So yay, Floetrol. And maybe there are other mediums out there that are great, but I can get Floetrol and it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg. Now, if you want spectacular fragmentation and texture, just take a look at this. This is just, the whole thing is broken up like anything. And, you know, that's just a bunch of incompatible medium. You know, I wanted to get rid of this, but I'm trying to look at this as a positive thing instead of a horrible mistake. It's like a mountain range with an ice cap on it. That's what I'll say. You know, I think I did this one when I was using up drips or something. But it's a spectacular example of cracks, texture, just look at that, ripples, and fragmentation. So, as I said, if you like the fragmentation effect, then what you need to do to induce it is have a paint in your pour, one or two at least, that are incompatible with the rest. And one way you can do it is to use watercolour instead. But yes, it's an interesting effect if you think of it as an effect and not a mistake. So I thought I would just mention it. Well, do more than mention. I thought I would talk about it. I thought it would be interesting to talk about. So, from the top. If you want your paint to be all smooth and nice, make sure, because I think the important thing is not that you don't mix brands of paint. I think the important thing is that you don't mix different mediums. If you say, whenever I'm using Vallejo fluid acrylics, I will mix them with Floetrol, and whenever I use Winsor & Newton acrylics, I will mix them with Vallejo pouring medium, then of course you don't want to mix the brands because you're also mixing the mediums. Whereas if you say, I'm going to use golden acrylics and some French brand of heavy body paint and Liquitex acrylic inks, but I'm going to mix them all with GAC 800, then you're not going to have these kind of problems, because there's more medium than paint in the mix. And if you're using the same medium, then they're going to be compatible with each other. And I say there's more medium than paint in the mix because for the most part, when people are mixing with their mediums, the usual ratio is 1:1, or a ratio which has more medium than paint. So either you're going to have an equal amount of medium and paint, or you're going to have more medium than paint. So the medium mediates between all the paints. If any of you have any questions, please ask them. If any of you have any requests for things that you would like me to film, ask for them. I have 3 requests so far in the pipeline, so that's good. If you liked this, like it. If you want to see more of this, please subscribe. It does help, and I appreciate it. Though I like your comments the best. That's what I like. So, adieu, and I will see you in the next video. Well, you'll see me. I won't see you. Bye.